up, people? Welcome back to the channel. So, in my previous videos that I released, like this week, I kind of mentioned that I want to start focusing more on like rogue and budget style, like content. So something that I kind of thought about was I kind of need to like probably put out like a quick video, kind of explaining my idea on what on like what I think is budget, because my version of budget is probably different from a lot of other people. And I've kind of, I was at work thinking about it, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that there are actually 4 levels of budget Yu-Gi-Oh, to kind of go over. So I know it's kind of crazy. Like, I understand people think like budget, but it really depends on what you're trying to do. So like from this point on, I'm gonna like, I'm gonna try to kind of like keep a lot of the stuff I talk about in these 3 different categories. So if you like what we hear, please feel free to like and subscribe. If not, it's all cool. Trying to get a 500 subscribers. We got to give it when we get a 500. And so without the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. So the first level of this is going to be like level 0. So pretty much it goes from level 0 to level 3. There's 4 different levels. And level 0 is just casual Yu-Gi-Oh play. So pretty much like budget Yu-Gi-Oh would be like casual Yu-Gi-Oh, because I kind of feel that a lot of people might kind of see me do like a budget Yu-Gi-Oh video, and they might see maybe like a $100 to $200 deck and be like, that's not budget. And it's like, unfortunately, with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's different from a lot of other card games. Unfortunately, it's not like Pokemon, to where you have the ability to play lower rarity versions of all the good cards to be able to make a budget version of the best decks. We don't have that luxury in Yu-Gi-Oh. If the best deck is Snake Eye Ash and you gotta pay $500 for it, there's no common wanted. There's no rare wanted. There is only that one version that we have. So understand, like, when I talk about budget, I'm probably going to be talking about decks that cost, like pretty big. So kind of to like get around that, I've decided to like create, like I said, these 4 different tiers. And the first tier, like I said, is casual play. Casual play is pretty much someone who plays, like, mostly plays with their friends. They very rarely go to tournaments. They kind of just go to tournaments just for the novelty of it, just support every now and then, to kind of have fun of it, maybe to go with their other friends who are more competitive with it. And they occasionally play competitive. Maybe they go to like a regional or a YCS just to kind of have fun, to play, just to troll, or maybe just to do side events. And then and also like someone who like still sees Mirror Force and like cards like Magical Cylinder as like really broken cards. Like, pretty much like if you talk to someone who still like gets, like who has a hard time with Mirror Force, then it's like, okay, you're probably dealing with someone who's more like a casual play. And like when it comes to those kind of budget, I understand that like you could get like a battling boxer deck for like 10 to like 20, maybe $30, and build kind of a small thing there and be pretty competitive with someone else who has a similar deck like in that kind of level. But I kind of see like, level 0 is like casual play, anywhere from like you get something given to you to like kind of like $50. So that's kind of like the first level budget. The second level budget, which is like level 1, is like low budget, which is basically kind of like spending about $51 to $120 on your deck. And like I said, like a lot of people might think of budget as like under $100. And when it comes to like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, unfortunately, you do have to kind of, every once in a while, you do kind of have to go and break the bank a little bit. So there's a lot of budget decks that are 100 or lower, but I kind of threw 120 just to kind of be safe, to kind of cover, like, just in case something kind of goes up and maybe it was like unexpected, or maybe a certain hand trap that like like is brand new. So other than that, like level 1 is like low budget, anywhere from $51 to $121, which is like occasional, like if you're occasionally playing tournaments, like having like a couple readily available staples, like if you buy like 3 copies of the Fire King structure deck, and then maybe maybe you go out and like buy yourself a set of Ash Blossoms, and then you buy a set of another Nibiru's, just to kind of add, and then a couple of other, like side deck staples. That's pretty much like level 2 budget, to where you're spending anywhere from like $51 to $121. So like this one right here is a deck that like pretty much like a deck that doesn't have to have all the staples, but maybe runs an engine that or runs a deck like similar to Fire King, where you could buy a structure deck and get them all. So that's kind of like level 1. And then level 2 budget is anywhere from $121 to $200. So this one right here is going to be more of a line to you playing something like Fire King Dogmatica, to where you have to pay the $30 for the structure deck, and then on top of that, you have to go and you have to buy the windows, and then you gotta buy also, you gotta like buy more hand traps. So these are gonna be decks that are going to have all of the hand traps they need. The 25th anniversary collection made it really easy to like get all these hand traps, but at the same time you still gotta spend money. Like even Ashes are still like like $2 a piece, so we're still spending 5 for a set. So like the things that are in the level 2 budget are going to be more complete decks. These are going to be budget decks that, yes, you do got to spend upwards of $200, but $200 will get you your main deck, your side deck, and your extra deck, and it will have the ability to top locals, win locals, maybe even top a regional, especially because like if I think another thing I might talk about is getting your skill level up, because a lot of times, these really expensive cards could really like cover up your, maybe I would want to say your shortcomings, like maybe like someone who's maybe doesn't know too much about Yu-Gi-Oh might be only winning because they're running the best strategy, and like really knowing your rulings helps you really like play budget. But at the same time, if you're playing level 2 budget, you're pretty much you have $200 and you're going in and you're buying all the stuff you need for your deck. You're buying a couple, extra stuff. Maybe you might have like a Typhon type staple, like a $40 staple. For the most part, you're buying a lot of the new stuff, and you're there. And then the last level I want to talk about is level 3 budget. And like level 3 budget is essentially $200 to $300. Now I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you got to understand that I personally come from an era of playing of 2012 Yu-Gi-Oh. So I remember decks costing upwards of $1,000 on top of being very hard to get. Like before Konami was super happy about doing their reprints, before Konami put 2 secrets in every set, before Konami kind of like upgraded a lot of their stuff. I remember wind-ups, and even for someone from me who around that time my daughter was born, I want to wind up so bad, but I had to save up for a long time, and I had to play like an incomplete wind up deck for an entire month before I even was able to get even a small comparable kind of version of wind ups. And on top of that, a lot of the stuff was kind of hard to find. So I'm coming. So I guess like a lot of people might think that $300 is not budget, but for competitive high level Yu-Gi-Oh, yes, $300 is quote unquote budget, especially when we're in a format where you're spending upwards of 300 to 500 on just an engine. If you want to run Snake Eye, which is going to be the best deck in the format, just Wanteds right now are over over 100. Bonfire's over 100, and then you got Transaction Rollback, which is probably going to settle around between, I gotta see the ratios, but maybe like 50 to like 75, I really hope. But like even then, that's still really expensive. So just like right now, and especially for the past, because you also got Triple Tactic like Thrust being a really expensive staple that was over 100 at one point. So you kind of have decks to where it's like, to be like super competitive, you have to kind of sit there and spend that extra money. So level 3 is going to be high budget, which is like $200 to $300, and in that one you're pretty much playing, you're pretty much like sitting there playing Fire King like Dogmatica style decks with everything. You're gonna have like SP Little Knight, you're gonna have Typhon, you're gonna have the whole core, you're gonna have all your hand traps, and you're pretty much going to kind of like be at that level. Alright, so I know I kind of went on a rant. Let me go over them real quick. So like the 4 levels of budget. Level 0 is just casual play, anywhere from $0 to $50. Maybe you like buy a couple of structure decks. Maybe you buy like a pre-made deck or a core for like 30, 40, 20 to like $40. Then you buy a couple extra hand traps and you play with your friends. Then you got level 1 budget, which is kind of lower budget, which is like 150 to 200, where pretty much maybe you like I said, you get some structure decks and then you kind of put it together. Then you buy a couple extra things, but for the most part you're gonna be missing a lot of stuff. Level 2 budget is gonna be 121 to 120, which is like like I said, is like you playing more rogue tier 2, tier 1 strategies, but you're also incorporating a lot of you're incorporating a lot more hand traps, and maybe you're playing like SP Little Knight or a Typhon in that deck, depending on how it is. And then level 3 is high budget, which is like 200 to 300, and that's pretty much kind of how I see Unchained right now. I see Unchained as like a potential tier 1 budget deck to where you could spend under 300 and get a very good Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Anywhere from $200 to $300 could build you a very good Unchained deck right now. So that's kind of like the direction that I kind of want to go. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm gonna start talking about more budget stuff, and then I'll probably refer to this video and all that. Maybe I might make another video talking about it a little bit shorter. But that's it for the video, guys. Peace out, and I'll catch you in the next one.